be able to get recognized for something that you would do anyway is a blessing. If there were no cameras here, no red carpet or anything like that, I would still do it for the rest of my life because I love empowering people and encouraging people. So, I mean, this is just icing on the cake.
What Yolanda Adams did at Mama Burks' funeral left everyone in tears, a moment the gospel world will never forget. When the gospel world found out that Mama Burks had passed away at the age of 92, time seemed to stop. For many, she wasn't just a gospel singer, she was the voice of gospel. A living legend. She sang with the Mississippi Mass Choir, but she was more than just a singer in the group. She was the heart, the soul, and the wisdom behind their music. Her voice carried people through their hardest days.
Mama Burks was a popular voice with the Mississippi Mass Choir. She passed away today. Now people are remembering her life and her legacy.
Her songs gave strength to the weak and lifted spirits when life felt too heavy. Mama didn't start singing professionally until later in life, but she proved that it's never too late to step into your purpose. She gave hope to those who felt forgotten. She reminded everyone that age doesn't end your calling, it confirms it. Churches across the country held services in her honor. Bells rang, and tears were shed everywhere her voice had once reached. But nothing compared to what happened at her funeral. The service was held at the Jackson Convention Complex in Jackson, Mississippi. People came from all over the country, some waited outside in the summer heat just to be near the building. Inside, the space was filled with deep purple and gold, colors that reflected her place as royalty in gospel music. In the center was a simple white casket lined with satin, surrounded by 92 white roses, one for each year of her life. Then, the Mississippi Mass Choir stood and began singing "When I Rose This Morning," the song Mama had made famous. The room shifted immediately. Some people raised their hands, others rocked gently as tears rolled down their faces. This wasn't a show, it was worship. It wasn't a funeral, it was a holy celebration of life. Then Bishop T.D. Jakes walked in. Quiet, emotional, eyes red. When he spoke, his voice trembled.
Sometimes you are too close up on the problem to understand the why of the problem. And it's only when you take a telescope and back away from it. That's why most of us don't understand what we're going through till after we get through it.
He didn't preach that day, he came to grieve. He called Mama a warrior and said, "We are not just here to bury a woman. We are here to celebrate a pillar, a storm walker, a soldier who sang her way through battles." And then he shared something deeply personal. In her final days, Mama told him, "Don't cry too long for me. Save your tears for the people still walking without faith." The room gasped. Even the choir had to pause, some turning their backs just to collect themselves. That one quote spread like wildfire, touching hearts all over the world. Then Shirley Caesar stood to sing. She didn't ask for music. She just opened her mouth and sang, "Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world." Her voice cracked. Her hands trembled. And somehow, that made it even more powerful. She wasn't performing, she was grieving, just like everyone else. When she finished, she softly said, "I'll see you again, my sister." The room responded not with applause, but with praise. Just when it seemed like emotions couldn't run any deeper, a familiar voice came from the back of the room. It was Bianca. People were stunned. She didn't walk in like a celebrity. She came in quietly, respectfully, like a church girl returning home. Earlier that day, she had sent a floral tribute, a white cross made entirely of lilies and gardenias, with a handwritten note that said, "Thank you for giving the world your voice, Mama." But what happened next wasn't on the schedule. A choir member stepped up and said, "We have one last tribute not listed in your program." That's when Bianca stood and slowly walked to the front. She didn't take center stage, she stood beside the choir, humbly. And then, with them, she began singing "Total Praise" by Richard Smallwood. This wasn't the superstar Bianca, this was the girl from St. John's Church in Houston. The daughter of gospel. Her voice soared, full of emotion and love. When she finished, she stepped to the casket and placed a tiny golden microphone pin on the satin. No cameras caught it, just a few people saw. But word spread fast. That moment instantly became part of gospel history. But nothing compared to what Yolanda Adams did next. She walked up in a black dress with a soft gold scarf. She looked strong, but her eyes told a different story. She was holding back tears. The crowd went silent as she stepped up and began singing "The Battle Is Not Yours."
7 streams, so just in case one of them kind of dries out for a little while, you don't have a problem.
And what I really wanted to ask you about was, do you think your character is a villain or antagonist? Because I think when I saw the trailer, like, I feel like you're okay to be upset, and I feel like you're more emotional. And
her voice carried weight, not just because of her talent, but because of the history and emotion behind every word. You could hear the pain, the strength, the hope all in one voice. The crowd couldn't hold back any longer. People wept openly. Hands were raised. Others stood in silent worship. It wasn't just a song, it was a prayer. A goodbye. A release. A final gift to the woman who had meant so much to her and to the world. But the most unforgettable moment came when Elder Harvey Watkins Jr. took the stage. He cleared his throat and said, before she passed, "Mama Mosi left us a message, a video she asked us to play only after she was gone." The lights dimmed. A screen flickered on. There she was, Mama Mosi, sitting in her favorite chair, Bible in her lap, dressed in her blue choir robe. She looked into the camera and smiled, "If y'all watching this, then I made it home." The room was still. Some gasped. Others began sobbing. She continued, "Don't cry too long for me. Rejoice. I finally got what I've been singing about my whole life." She spoke about the struggles in her life, the losses she faced, but also how God never left her. Then she said something that gave everyone chills. "I had a dream. I saw a bright light and a choir louder than I've ever heard. That's when I knew God was calling me home. My work is done." She held up her Bible and said, "Take this. Sing with your soul. Praise Him while you can. Death is not the end, it's just the beginning of forever." The screen faded to black. The room was completely silent. People were undone. But there was still one more surprise. Just as people began gathering their things to leave, the choir stayed seated. Then the choir director stood up and said, "Mama Mosi had one last wish and we're going to honor it." Instead of a hearse picking up the casket, 6 choir members dressed in white gently lifted it and carried it outside. The choir followed behind, singing "I'll Fly Away." As they walked through the streets of Jackson, people stopped in their tracks. Some fell to their knees. Others lifted their hands in praise. It wasn't just a procession, it was a spiritual moment that no one will ever forget. They carried her past places she had walked as a child, her neighborhood, her old church, her community. When they arrived at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, the youth choir was already on the steps, singing "Blessed Assurance." This wasn't done for attention or cameras. It was real. It was pure. It was love in its truest form. From Jackson to heaven, Mama Mosi Burks was sent home like the queen she was. Her voice may now be silent, but her spirit lives on. In the songs she sang. In the people she inspired. In the faith she carried until her final breath. If you have a favorite memory, song, or moment from Mama Mosi, share it. Keep her story alive. Pass her light on. And so, as the final note of "I'll Fly Away" faded into the warm Mississippi air, it became clear this wasn't just a funeral. This was a moment in history. A spiritual homegoing unlike anything we've seen in gospel music in a very long time. Mama Mosi Burks was laid to rest not with sadness, but with celebration. Not in silence, but with songs. Not in shadows, but in glory. What happened that day was more than a service, it was a message. A reminder to all of us that our lives can still make a difference, no matter our age, no matter where we come from. Mama Mosi didn't become a household name in her youth. She didn't chase fame. She served faithfully. She loved deeply. And in doing so, she touched the hearts of millions. Her life preached a sermon louder than words ever could, a sermon of purpose, perseverance, and praise. From Shirley Caesar's trembling voice, to Bishop Jake's heartfelt tribute, from Bianca's humble presence to Yolanda Adams' soul-stirring performance, everything pointed back to one truth: Mama Burks was more than a singer. She was a vessel. A voice used by God to carry healing, strength, and hope to those who needed it most. And even in her final moments through that surprise video message, she left us with one final lesson: don't waste your time holding back your praise. Don't wait until it's too late to trust God, to follow your calling, to sing with your soul. Death, she reminded us, is not the end, it's only the beginning of forever. So now, the question isn't just how we mourn her. The question is, how will we carry her legacy forward? If Mama Mosi ever lifted your spirit, if her voice ever gave you strength on a hard day, if her story reminded you that it's never too late to shine, then let your life sing too. Sing with joy. Walk with faith. Love with your whole heart. And never stop praising, no matter the storm. Because as Mama Mosi said herself, praise him while you can. Sing like your soul depends on it. Don't wait until it's too late to trust God, to follow your calling, to sing with your soul. Death, she reminded us, is not the end, it's only the beginning of forever. So now, the question isn't just how we mourn her. The question is, how will we carry her legacy forward? If Mama Mosi ever lifted your spirit, if her voice ever gave you strength on a hard day, if her story reminded you that it's never too late to shine, then let your life sing too. Sing with joy. Walk with faith. Love with your whole heart. And never stop praising, no matter the storm. Because as Mama Mosi said herself, praise him while you can. Sing like your soul depends on it.